Okay, sounds good.
Okay, everybody, welcome in. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network, and welcome to our wonderful guest today, Lorna Gale. How are you?
Tammy, I'm wonderful, and it's even more wonderful being here with you. So I'm excited to be back together with you and to have our conversation together. So thank you for the invitation to be here with you today.
Well, you're very welcome. We've kind of got a little theme going on, and that's why I wanted to have you back. We've been talking with some women about you know, our girl regions and those kinds of things, right? So, you know, I think a lot of people, women, put those things sometimes on the back burner or locked away in the closet or, buried out in the yard. Like sometimes we just don't want to talk about these things, but they're super important and they're part of who we are. So we should be diving in, finding out all the details, really learning about ourselves rather than just, I don't want to look, but you gotta look. Like physically, actually, you gotta look sometimes, right?
Exactly, exactly. hmm And yes, it's actually interesting. I'm going to say it was probably about 10, 11 years ago. I was uh, helping in a retreat, and I was taking women through what a genital mapping, actually, and just taking them on a guidance, and three or four women side by side on their back jacks, and taking them on this tour of, and I demoed, but taking on them a tour of their parts. They had their mirror there with them and stuff. And remember one 73-year-old woman, she tears running down her face. And she said, "Thank you for this." She said, "This is the first time I've ever seen my parts."
Oh, oh my gosh, that is a lot of years of disconnection. Holy
It
smokes, right?
is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think
so
about
when you,
I think about lots of those 73-year-old women, like, my mother's age, right? Who are not looking and not interested. So this is where we need people like you to like help us decide. So before we carry on any further, can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Because maybe some people haven't seen your other interview that you had a little while ago, and I really want people
sure.
to know what it is that you do.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Tammy. So I am Lorna, and many hats that I wear. And the first one I got to wear in some ways was that of being a mom. So I'm a blessed mom of two beautiful daughters by birth, one by bonus by marriage, and four grandchildren by birth, and two by bonus as well. And so there's that. And it's actually interesting that that brought me to my journey of really being aware of how disconnected I was from my sexuality. And, that aspect of save yourself for marriage, I did. So my journey that took me to this place of what I call my midlife sexual awakening at the age of 47. So it's never too late.
Right?
And then I went from there, taking my love and gift of teaching from the school system and energy work now into the sexual erotic realm of things, really supporting people in connecting to their bodies, to their sexuality, feeling at home in their bodies, and as the journey continues, realizing they're really at home also in their divinity. So it's really a beautiful way. I'm so grateful for this role that I get to play in not only women's empowerment, but I see it's really a shift in paradigm and the awakening of our spiritual wholeness for all of us.
Goodness, you just seriously, I just got chills over my whole body. Yes, Lorna, oh my word. So much so, like we're saying, right? It's time for us to get on the journey of who we are and who we really are and who we're meant to be, which includes some things we maybe, don't want to talk about or look at or understand. But we can't be a whole being if we're not including our whole self. So can you please just give a little tidbit as to what you actually do to help women besides
Mm-hmm.
the mapping, like that's huge, that's huge in itself.
It is. It is. So my roles as a somatic sex educator, I do intuitive energy healing. So whatever mode I bring to the table, whatever is supportive, it's really looking at women feeling at home in their bodies. And I start with consent, and it's not just about me because I work with people in person. I work with people online. It's establishing that place of consent. And where that starts from is supporting people and coming back into feeling in their bodies. So the first place I take people is into three different stages of coming back into, it's not even consent. I actually say consent is an expression of what's happening inside. So taking them back into that place of feeling their wholeness, feeling their empowerment. And from there, their yeses, their nos, their maybes, their need more information. That's what flows from there. But it's about connecting to the body. And so that's really where I start. I work with people as well, women, supporting them in what I call personal erotic practice.
Hmm.
So a lot of us have been taught, look outside, wait, wait till you have a partner, save yourself for marriage. And I, for one, and I suspect, I know I'm not the only one, because each time I speak, there are women that are nodding their head and raising their hands and say, I get it. So this aspect of save yourself for marriage means, okay, my body isn't mine, my sexuality isn't mine, and boundaries, what are those?
Right.
And so to be able to take women back into this place of connecting to their own bodies. And when I say personal erotic practice, some people say, well, like, do you mean masturbation? And I say, well, that's a starting place. Let's look at that word. Number one, that word comes from the word shame. And we're here to take off the shroud of shame and really stand in your glory and your power and your wholeness as a woman, as a sexual erotic being. Now, I, for one, was not like this. I was so disconnected. Like I would get grossed out at kids kissing in the fast food place. It was just like gross and ashamed of my curves, and just I was so disconnected. I had my first orgasm at the age of 42. So when we
That's so
talk
sad.
about sexual disconnection, yeah, I could have sex, obviously, because I have two beautiful daughters, but I was very disconnected from my own body. So I really bring women back into their connection to themselves. And it can be, let's leave the genitals alone for a moment. Let's find out what about the rest of your body. When you're brushing your hair, can you brush your hair and feel that sensation? Can you let the water drip over? Can you take a bite and just feel what's there, the taste? So it's really tapping into and allowing women to feel through every sense and connect into their bodies. And that allows sometimes that arousal might happen, but it doesn't have to. But allowing that connection with the body, it's all of a sudden it will show up in multiple ways. Sometimes it will, and often will show up in arousal might start to happen. I'm starting to feel at home in my body. I'm starting to feel pleasure in my own touch, or I can communicate with my partner. It shows up often in creative aspects. I've have a world-renowned artist that I've worked with, and it totally shifted her art form. And a writer who, through her work, she became very prolific in getting awards for her writing. So it shows up in all kinds of different ways. We come from sex. It's the very center of who we are, coming from spirit. And so to demonize it or disconnect from it, it just shows that there's so much power, that there's where the treasure is. So that's why, come on home, ladies, come on home.
Oh my goodness, so much power, right? Oh my goodness. I'm envisioning this. Um, your light regathering, coming back to your center so you can feel it. Because you're right, like so many people are disconnected, they can't feel their bodies. Um, Obviously, we end up with all kinds of disorders and diseases because the circulation's not working and whatever else, all the things. And really love, because I know your group, um, how you say, the shame and we were born individuals, male or female, and right away we're in shame about it. And it's the first thing they announce when you're born. Are you a girl or are you a boy? And
Mm,
right away, that thing comes out that paints us and says, "Oh, don't look there. We've looked there. Let's diaper it, and now we're not going to talk about it for
mm.
40 something years, right? Or 73 years, or however much time goes on."
Yeah,
So
so
I love your group. Return to Eden, returning to Eden,
reclaiming Eden.
reclaiming Eden. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's exactly like that is really that feels to me like the essence of your work. Like it really is embodying being a female, being okay with yourself, rediscovering that you know you are somebody. You're not just you're not
Mm,
just a body having children, doing the woman thing over there. You are a whole being. And
mhm.
I really love you had shown us before on your other interview about you were caressing your hand and the amazingness of something so simple and so readily available to us. It's right there.
Mhm.
It's with you all the time. And you wouldn't even, a lot of people wouldn't even blink an eye at the thought of their own touch. They wouldn't even
Yeah.
choose to do it. Most people, I think. Like, do people get a little bit weird around that when you say, "Hey, let's feel what we can feel"?
Very true. It is true. And and I would say that's because we have been taught to that number one, we're for someone else, or that we have to wait till there's somebody else. And so this aspect of women touching themselves, and not just in a sense of, I'm feeling an urge, I feel I need a release, I want to have a good sleep, so let's bring myself to an orgasm. And I say, and that's where I take PEP, is personal erotic practice, because the erotic part is not like I used to think it was, some objectification of women, but actually it's tapping into that life force energy. And so when we can really tap into, to feel not only physically but to feel the sensation, whatever it is, whatever label we put on it, whatever we do, we just come back and to feel it. And then it's like tapping into literally the source of life itself,
Mm,
that's expressed and gets to feel through this body. And when we have been taught that there's something shameful about it, men are taught, yeah, boys will be boys, men will be men, you're sexual, you're studs. Women, oh, don't express. If you do, you're a slut, and
yeah.
those are the words that we hear.
Oh
So
yeah.
a woman to enjoy sexuality, to express, to be in her aliveness, is shut down. It's shamed, it is demonized. And again, that's why I say it's it's proof, if you will, that there's the gold, there's the treasure, there's the power. And the analogy that I like to use is that of in a bank or so, in the safe, we've got guards, we've got lasers, we've got locks, we've got all kinds of things because there's so much treasure inside. If it was if it was great, they wouldn't put it out in the lobby, on display,
Mm,
right? They hide it, they lock it, they say, "Oh, look the other way." And so too, in my experience, and what I have been shown over and over again, and what my people and what I teach, is that it's so powerful. Therefore, it has to be shut down, shamed, taboo. And so, as I say, and the title that I'm using right now is Sex, Spirit, and the Feminine Led Life.
mm,
And so it's this aspect of the feminine, of women rising, the feminine rising. And it's not even just about um, us as women, but in that, as we step into our power and as we step into our recognition of the truth of who we are, into our power, our sexuality, and our leadership, just by our natural way of being who we are, it creates this natural flow for the masculine to be in support.
right.
And, and so I have this incredible joy and privilege of supporting women, of really reclaiming that, knowing not from here, but here in the body, to feel, oh, I get it. And then
Mm,
to be able to then express. So
yeah.
that's a little
I mean,
bit, and starting to bring the feminine, the masculine at home within. And that's a whole, another time we can talk about that some more if you want, or if there's some time to talk about it today, but to really start to embrace the masculine within us.
mm, right. Yeah. And I think that's also one of those things that some people think is wrong, or because we're women. I think most people don't real not most people. A lot of the people don't realize that we do have both energies within us, and they're supposed to be balanced. That's that's how we are optimized if we're in balance.
Yeah,
So
the dance of,
training, yeah, training people that you have both. Um, that must be like how do you broach that? Is that just part of your uh, what you do right away to let the women know, we've got both sides, or how do you introduce that?
That's a really great way. What I like to do along the way is planting seeds, and I know that you're familiar, and I think that the majority of our listeners are aware of it as well. Is that oftentimes we can hear something like a seed can be planted and it needs some nurturing, and sometimes that nurturing comes by hearing it again and again and again, and sometimes it just means plant a little seed and then add a little bit more to it, add a little bit more, and so when I talk about the feminine, the masculine, I I start with the idea of we have been taught that we are separate. So we've been taught there's woman and there's man, and this journey to come back together. And again, coming back to reclaiming Eden, even in that aspect um, of intimacy, somehow even that, oh, we're damned and we're now separated from God, and it becomes this journey to come back to that spiritual source of who we are. And so I like to talk about it and say by divine design,
Mm,
because I see life as this unfolding story, unfolding movie, if you will, unfolding story. And in that, we start as oneness, but let's have this adventure as if we are separate. And so here's woman, here's man, and there's this quest. Will they ever get back together? Will they ever find themselves? Will they find their partner? All of those things. And when they come together, there's this idea two shall become one.
right?
And well, what happens if someone never finds their partner? Does that mean they were never whole? That they go through life being half or lacking? And so that very idea of being separate from each other, from our divinity, starts to right away and reinforce that I'm lacking, I'm not good enough, am I worthy? All of those things. So that's why I say, what a brilliant, what a brilliant script, if you will, to allow us this in our divinity to experience this separation concept or experience, and then coming back together that to realize that it is there within. A lot of people, um, when we talk about masculine and feminine, it's often associated with yin and yang. There's the yin is feminine, the yang is masculine. And what I was taught when I was taking my sacred intimate training through a tantric lens, that there's the yang feminine and the yin feminine. There's the yang masculine and the yin masculine. And when we can really start to allow for that, instead of this polarity, it's two, it's we're seeing, wow, this weaving, and how does that look? So, in really simple forms, we're used to talking about the feminine yin is that nurturing, that creative, that flow. The masculine yang is that of the doer, the action,
Mm,
right? Well, what we don't often look at is the aspect of the yang feminine is Kali the destroyer, that anger, that mama bear. That's the
right.
yang feminine that say, no, justice, we will stand up, we will unite, we are one. The yin masculine is that of holding, like the testicles hold,
Mm,
hold. So when we hold space for one another, we are actually in our masculine. I'm holding space.
mm. I love that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That
Hmm.
is amazing. That's amazing. I think we just don't think of it that way. So
No, we
what a
don't.
lovely way to think of it. Yes, because I mean, we all have those parts, whether we're male or female, and to look at them in that way, the holding way. Like I never envisioned it that way, and now I can see my just the way the body's made, right? The male has it on the outside and it's there, but it still has to be it's present and it's there, but it's held close. And then our own testicles, which are our ovaries, inside of us are inside. They're protected. They're kept quiet. And wow, I never thought of it that way. That is just amazing. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. I feel like I had an epiphany.
And that's so much a part of it when we have come from this idea that there are two, right? We're separate from each other in this journey to come back. That's where I say it's that mirror. And that's what I love the aspect of the mirror is that when we see something outside of us, we might think it's outside of us because that's what we've been taught. Look outside. And it's kind of like, oh, that which I see is reflecting that which is within me. That part that, and even as I'm getting ready to do a program, a group program where it's 3, 6, and 9 months with women, is we actually start to look at this aspect of the masculine, what it's mirroring to us, and how that shows up not only in our body but as our body. Because I say masculine is form, feminine is the energy, and no matter what bodies we have, that form is masculine. It is that life force that is breathing this body that is the feminine, that is the spirit. So here, hidden in plain view all along, we've been masculine and feminine all the way along. We don't have to look outside and try to bring two to them. Oh, it's been one all along.
Oh, hmm. Oh, that's where somebody like you comes in, Lorna Gale. Gives us that little guidance and that little pointer that,
Yeah.
leads us that way. So, okay, you have some programs. Please tell me
Mm-hmm.
about your programs, 3, 6, and 9.
Yes. Hmm. So this one, I haven't even, to be honest, I haven't even got a date for it yet, but it's just feeling it's time. I just really need to do this. And even a few days ago, it was, okay, this is where we go. And so looking at a 3-month program, and I call it Rise, Roar, and Reign. So
Ooh.
3 months for each of those. So the rise is really to step into our power and start to realize who we are as women, as feminine beings, as erotic beings. The roar is, what is it that's there? What voice is there to you for you to really step into? What is it that's alive within you that's ready to be expressed? It might be how you show up in the world, flowing and large in life, and what maybe the visionary part, and then stepping as we go into the 9 months. And it's not that it's totally compartmentalized, we weave it together, but stepping now into that aspect of the so from our power, our sexuality, and now our leadership is, what is it like for a woman to really step into leadership in her world, in her relationship, in the world, in our global world and beyond. So it's really looking at those pieces to look at things energetically, to in an embodied, empowered way. And I want to just take a moment and say that coming from my teaching background, I love words. And the when we talk about empower, there's this idea that here I'm giving you power. Here I'll help you. You need some help. It's kind of like, no. That em means it's already within. I get to play the role of helping you to know the power that's already within and helping you to live into it, to feel it, and to express that.
Oh, that is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. Well, so your programs are going to be starting. You haven't picked a date yet, but we want to know about that. When you do know, we
I will do
need
that
you
for
to
sure.
come back and tell us because,
I will. Yeah,
yeah, some people might be, "Ooh, what's going on over here? I need
for
to know
sure.
more about this
For
because
sure.
yeah. And you mentioned about, us in the world as a global society, and I think that's one of the really interesting things about, how the world's going, the programs that we're doing, being able to go global, to be able to reach people anywhere
Right.
around the world, because we know, women are not always in the same roles throughout the world. Some women are more oppressed, some women are more um, amplified, and to really find that balance, and for those who are seeking to have a little more liberation, to have a little more, um, at least being able to experience their own, all of it, feminine and masculine. So I really appreciate that that you offer these things, and that it's available to anybody who is willing to connect with you. So with that being said, how can people reach you? How can they find out what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. Here on Facebook, I am Lorna Gale, and look for Sex and Spirit Alchemist of the Feminine Led Life. I have on Facebook as well is my Facebook group that you had mentioned, Tammy, the Reclaiming Eden. So I'll put the link there for that as well. And a course that I 2 days ago is what came as well is I want to do a course on consent. So that's where I'm going to start, and that will be. I'm just feeling into it. It's so hot off the press, but I'm feeling it'll be a 3, 4, 5 week program of just a group program where we meet for an hour and then practice, integrate it, and come back. Because what I just keep getting feedback in this last week, 2 weeks of the incredible shifts that are happening for people just in 1 and 2 sessions. So I want to be able to provide that for women as well. So I'm on LinkedIn as well, Lorna Gale there. But really send me a message if you're hearing me here. Contact me or leave a contact, DM me, let me know where you heard me, and yeah, love a conversation. And what I do as well, Tammy, is um, I have a call, and some people say, "Oh, what's she going to try to buy? What's she going to try to sell me?" Nothing. I want to be there to support you in being seen and heard, and to find out what it is that's there that's your best next step. And I just really want to support people. I know that along my journey, I had so many people that were just showing up to support me on each step along the way. And so, as I say to women that were listening, there is help, or there's hope, there's help, and to be able to support you on your journey home.
Oh, beautiful. And some healing in there too, if I must say so myself. So,
Yeah.
Women of the Women's Wellness Network, we are going to put all of Lorna's information into the comment section so that you can reach out to her, find out more about her. And if you're feeling a little shy, because the subject is a little bit, uncomfortable for some people, just direct message her and have a conversation with her that way because, you know, just opening that little door sometimes is all you need just to squeak it open and say hello. Somebody might be there waiting to help you. So, Lorna, do you have anything else you would like to share with us before we go off today?
Hmm. The encouragement to feel. And that encourages not only that includes not only the sense of the feeling of the sensations, what we call emotions, things like that, but just to let yourself feel those things. But even more, and Tammy, you talked about it earlier, is just take that moment to give yourself that time to just really feel yourself. It's not for any agenda, there's not any outcome. It's just being present to, can you let yourself feel your own touch? Feel the temperature of your breath as you breathe. Feel your body move as you walk. Simply feel.
Engage with yourself. That's beautiful. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lorna. So, Women
Thank
of the Women's Wellness
you.
Network, thank you very much for watching. And of course, until next time, be well. And Lorna, thank you so much for coming back today. It was lovely to have you on again.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Tammy.